Hi there, this is Mike Belsito, Senior Director of Mind the Product and host of Product Unplugged, the series where we dig into the good, the bad, sometimes the ugly, about what it takes to build products today. And a big thank you goes out to the team at Pendo, the software experience platform, for helping make this Product Unplugged series possible. Thank you so much, Pendo, for the support. But for today's episode, I have with me the head of product at Transifex, Maya Toutountzi, and Maya is going to tell us a story that she told me off camera that I thought would be really relevant for this conversation. We'll learn a lot from Maya, that's for sure. Maya, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this with us.
Thank you for having me. It was great meeting you at the MTP Con in London. And yeah, it was great meeting you in person.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun for sure. We had so many people here with us, and then you were starting to tell me a story there that I thought, you know what? Let's tell the story again during a Product Unplugged episode so everybody can learn from it. And it had to do with an AI hackathon. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. That was part of our AI journey at Transifex, which had a lot of ups and downs. But yeah, it was quite interesting. So I'm happy that I can share this with you. Let me explain a bit what we do so that you have some context. So at Transifex, we are helping companies localize their product, get them out there using their own brand voice fast, for sure. And they always care about cost. So our customers, as they care about cost, speed, and quality. So when AI came out, it was like, yes, of course, that's the solution that we were all looking for to satisfy our customers and address both these three things. So as everything happens, as every time with Transfix, when we want to try something new, we start with a hackathon. We get our engineers, the brightest minds of our team, in a room. We vote, we pitch in ideas, and we split into teams to try to have a proof of concept and then ideally get it into the product. Of course, that's how we did with AI. It was the best opportunity. So there was a lot of excitement. We had like ton of ideas, but I think we voted like 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, but even though things started as every time with a lot of excitement, it wasn't the same thing when the hackathon ended, and that was quite a surprise for us because usually we get like the nice pressure from engineers coming to us saying, okay, what about the project we did in hackathon? Why it's not on the product yet? Why it's not prioritized? When is it gonna go live? So yeah, unexpectedly, it wasn't the same thing when it came to the AI hackathon.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that things didn't necessarily go as planned. Maybe you could talk more about when you typically go into hackathons with Transifex, like how do things typically go and how is this different?
Yeah, so we get usually we do it even not in the offices so that we have a new environment, let's say a new vibe, and we also have fun. And we are fully focused during that period. So we spend like 3 or 4 days um, working, even in a nice way, competitive environment. One team is not showing to the other team what we are working on, so that there is also the surprise element in the end. Yeah, but the thing is that at the end, everybody is very proud of their achievements, and we are trying to show off and who did it best. But the difference in this case is that I think it started with a lot of excitement beforehand, and instead of the excitement going up, at the end there was like a lot of hesitation. Look, there was a lot of promise, there was a lot of expectations around AI. The thing is that we tried like 4 projects in this time. One was about the user experience in the product, how we could train an LLM with our documentation so that our customers can interact with it like in a verbose manner instead of looking into articles. The other one was about getting our customers content and generating a glossary from there. This helps our customers have consistency across the translations if they use the glossary. Um, and then we started something totally new because at Transfix, we don't work on translations. We are the middle person between the companies and the language service providers or machine translation services. But in that case, we said, okay, let's try out generating the translations through AI. And the fourth project was, again, very promising, was about checking the quality of the translations. We, in general, our hackathons are inspired by the feedback from our customers. You say, okay, you know this problem that we've been hearing about, let's spend like 3 days and try to solve it once and for all, like doing something crazy. So when the hackathon ended, like the first team with the documentation was the most excited, I think. They did a great project. The other three were like, so the glossary part, I think AI wasn't advanced enough yet. So the tools that were already out there that they were doing that job, they were already ahead. So our solution wasn't competitive enough at that point. Of course, 2 years later, things have changed. And if you try to generate a glossary through AI, the results are going to be much, much better. But same goes for the other two solutions, the translations and the QA. Like we saw some really funny stuff with translations happening. It was clear that if there were if there was not enough context, a lot of hallucinations could be happening there. So yeah, the team, and just to give you another hint, is like our engineers are very trustworthy. They own their work, and they want to be confident about what they are releasing. They are reliable. So having something answering one thing in one time and then something different the next time, they didn't feel very comfortable that that's something that we could give to our customers, our enterprise customers, that we know that they really want to put our word, let's say, on what we are releasing, and making sure that we know exactly how it will behave. So yeah, as a surprise for us, it wasn't the same as other times. The team was like, it was so early at the AI area where there were some people that were saying, of course, that's the next thing, that's the future. And also there were the ones that saying, it's going to fade away. Maybe you can use it in some cases, but it's not for everyone. Well, that wasn't our case. We have all the proof 2 years later, but yeah, we were very troubled about what our next steps should be about AI after that hackathon.
Yeah, no, and it's a good lesson, because I think when we're experimenting with technologies that are so early, right? Like, yeah, it's true that AI has been around for, a very long time, longer than even the past 2 years. But 2 years ago sort of marked the time where, in the public's eye, AI became so visible to everybody. And so it was very early days overall, at least for mainstream. So I can understand how maybe for some of your past hackathons, if you're going through a hackathon with technologies that have been out for a very long time, your team probably, they know how they can handle those technologies. And maybe they know how the customers might react to the technologies. It seems like maybe in this case, part of the skepticism came from the fact that this is such early days. People just didn't know maybe how this would be handled by the customers, how it would be received by the customers. Am I on the right track there, you think?
Yes. And we did not try to create a new LLM or reinvent the wheel. So what I mean by it was early days, it was the early days of the known models that were available to the public as an API, and you could start using them in your product and not starting training a model on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So from what I remember, though, you did ship some features for AI, or at least you shipped a slice of a feature that was AI related. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that was the new thing about this. As I said before, usually the whole team was getting to the product team. Why haven't we prioritized what we've released during the hackathon? In this time, it was the other way around. We were trying to convince people that we should do something. The industry, it was clear. The market was clear. We should do something. We spearhead innovation in our industry, so we cannot be the one saying that that might not be the future. We definitely need to try it out, see how it reacts, and whenever it's even more reliable, then we would be ready for it. And that's what we did. We started small, and that, I think, that was a benefit. The fact that we were not so enthusiastic about it, so sure about it, helped us minimize the features and minimize the scope. And that wouldn't be the case, I think, if we were all full on, yeah, and we would say, let's do that and also add that and that great idea. So now this time we kept it really short. And we also did something that 2 years later is also our differentiator, is that we got our own hesitation and said, okay, this hesitation that we are having, our customers are also going to have it. So why don't we combine it? One, offer them the translations, because this is what they are looking for eventually, but also give them a score on so that they can understand whether it's a trustworthy translation or not. Something that we were also feeling during the hackathon, that, okay, yes, we have the translations, but can we guarantee that they are good enough? And can AI help us understand if they are good enough? So we started not only generating AI translations, but we also gave a score on whether it's production ready or not, or whether should a human review it. And I think we got the best combination between the two. So yes, we started just one phrase in the editor, one by one, not something massive, something that you can add in your workflow. And then another surprise came. The first feature request we got was that, oh my God, our translators are using the feature so much that can you please give us tools where we can control who's using it or not? We need to understand who's using it, have transparency. It was so clear that even on that so premature feature, it was greatly accepted by our user base. And then another thing is what, like, for a week we've been getting requests by our customers like, oh, when should we expect it to do that? And how about that idea? And will be added in that area of the product as well. So it was clear that something was starting there. We got the best choice. Took the best decision to launch early. And yeah, now we are 2 years later. Like 75% of our roadmap is about AI. We've productized the feature. Now it's much more advanced, much more trained. We can guarantee the results. It's heavily adopted. And we are even launching a solely AI-based product. So Transifex is a combination, as I said before, between human, machine translation, and AI. But now we also have a fully AI-empowered solution launching. We call it Zira, and yeah, I don't think that we could even remember how this journey started. Seeing like a snapshot of where we are right now.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing because it goes from, I'm sure, having that skepticism that maybe people had in the beginning, which maybe there were some positives to it. It sounded like, right? It's like having that skepticism. At least it kept you rooted in maybe what the customers' pushbacks would be. It helped you slice out like what is the most important part of a MVP that we could launch. But it, again, customers started using it. They started using a lot more than maybe what you thought. How long did it take, I guess, to sort of erase that skepticism from some members of the team that weren't so sure about that?
I think it was almost instant, because once we launched it and we saw the interest and the engagement, I mean, nobody could come and say, I'm not sure now. So yeah, I think it was what we say, database decision. I think it was based on the data that we had at that point, that
Yeah.
there was no turning back.
Yeah. Was there a certain moment in time, like, I guess, when did you realize, okay, no, AI actually was going to have a big part of Transifex's future? You're going through that process that you went through with this, hackathon, with rolling out
Mhm.
this feature. You're getting good feedback about that feature, but were there certain customer moments where you said, oh no, this is actually going to be a huge part of the whole company's future?
Yeah, it was so obvious from the beginning that there is so much, the scope of usage of AI within our product would touch all the areas, like coming from user experience, reporting, but even translations. And then customers came and say, okay, I'm not sure about trusting AI to do my translations, but can I use it to do quality checks on translation coming from machine translation or from human? So it was so obvious that there were so many ways that we could use it and address our customers' needs. And despite the hesitation of our customers, there was also the will. So it was very clear that at some point it would turn the balance, and the value we get would outwin any hesitation.
Yeah. For people that are maybe watching and they're hearing your story, they're seeing the value of even having hackathons like this. Like, I'm curious because not every company maybe takes this approach. I'm curious if you had advice going through this specific experience and other experiences that you've had with this hackathon model to then, kind of rolling out to a real feature that you're using as a company. What advice might you have for people on that front?
I think there are two things that made a difference, and they also apply to hackathons. What are hackathons? They are the proof of concept, right? So if you could strip out all the scope and you get the minimum things you can achieve within 3 days or so. So I think it helps us minimize the scope and not overwhelm ourselves with features and designs. It's like minimum. And the other thing is that it's a small team that proves that we can do something, and then you convince the rest of the team and expands. So I think in this case, we benefited out of the fact that we kept it really, really small, and the fact that we started we found an ally in the company that also believed in the AI. So despite the hesitation, we didn't allow the hesitation and the disbelief affect that. So we created first a small group, and then it's much, much easier to convince the rest of the company. So I would say that if you have an idea or a goal you would like to achieve, find a partner in the company, do a small project like on the side, not having to make it a big deal. And then once you have something solid in your hands, like a small proof that this could be a positive sign that this could work, then I think it's going to be much easier for you to convince the rest and make it a big thing rather than starting trying to engage everything on an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any, now looking back at this specific hackathon that you went through, this specific story, anything that you would have done differently?
Not really. I think it all turned out great, so I'm not sure if if I would change anything. Maybe I would suggest that we made some leaps of faith even earlier than what we did, like a couple of months earlier. Just I think that.
Yeah. No, and that's sometimes it's like, yeah, moving, we feel like we're moving fast. Is it fast enough? Can we even move faster? Right. So that's something I always try to think about when we're going through the products that we're building. So that makes a lot of sense. But also I think that's a good lesson that, sometimes you could be in the thick of something and it can feel real messy. I'm sure when you're going through this hackathon, like there's parts, people are throwing doubt. They're saying, not quite sure that this is, I don't know if we believe in this feature quite yet. And it might feel messy, but that's all a part of the process too. Sometimes this process we go through to build product, it is messy. Like by design, it's messy, and we need to make it out on the other end. So sometimes just maybe reminding ourselves that we need to see it through to the end, and then we can judge how things are as opposed to how things feel in the middle. Maybe that's one lesson that could come out of it too.
Yes, yes, and it's also I think it's also how you use the tools that you're getting. I know that AI might not be deterministic, but in our case, we took it and we tried to make it as deterministic as possible. I mean, we combine things. So maybe one thing comes in one form, but you can shift it a bit and use it in your way. And now, I mean, in our case, we can. Guarantee, let's say, that the translations are ready for production like in 80% of the times. And when
Yeah.
it's not, it's like we can identify what is the 20, let's say, percent that needs to be reviewed. So, I mean, it might not seem like something that is a yes or no answer, but maybe you can use it in the way that fits your purpose, and maybe it's not as it comes naturally, but let's not give up, let's say, from the first try and give it another go.
Yeah.
And you might be surprised.
Yeah, I love that. Is there, as we sort of come towards the end of this conversation, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like is really important for people to know about this story?
Um, Let me see. I think it's like with innovation, you never know where it's gonna take you. It's like in
Mm,
our case, it even took us to a totally new product. I mean, we started as a feature and now we're even launching a new product.
yeah.
So the- with innovation, never know what it's gonna get you. And I think it's a journey that we are really lucky to be in.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like we as product people, we gotta keep an open mind, right? We never
Yep.
know where things might take us. We might have our roadmap set the way that it's set, but no matter what happens, we need to be able to keep an open mind about where the future might take us. So I
Yes.
love that. Well, I always ask this last question at the very end of a conversation because, time's flown by here. It was fun hearing the story. But sometimes it's the last thing that we hear that really sticks in our mind. So if there's one big takeaway that you hope people get from this conversation, maybe aside from what we just talked about, the fact that, hey, innovation, anything can happen and it might lead you anywhere. Is there any other big takeaway that you hope people get from this conversation?
Yeah, I think it's the thing I said before about finding a partner in the company that shares
Mm,
the vision. And I always work better in a team. So yeah, two people are better than one, and we do more together than one person trying to do something and achieve something on their own.
absolutely. I love that. I love that. Well, Maya, thank you so much for joining me here and being able to tell the story. It's fun to get to hear from it, and it's awesome to see, now 2 years later, how AI is such a big part of Transifex's future. It seems like a lot of good happened from that what seemed like a messy hackathon, but it ended up leading to really, really good things. So thank you so much for being here and telling the story.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And a big thank you goes out once again to Pendo, the software experience platform, for sponsoring this Product Unplugged series. Thank you so much for that. Y'all can check more out at pendo.io. But I have another couple stories, I believe, in this series to go. So I will see you all at the next story. Thank you.